They say that the solitude of the countryside is the price you pay for living far from the city. But I've learned that this solitude might be the least of your worries. I thought I knew every inch of my farm, which had been in my family for generations. But that night, something changed forever. A dark truth began to reveal itself before my eyes, forcing me to question the safety of the one place where I had always felt at peace. Nothing could have prepared me for what was about to happen. If you think you know what fear is, maybe you should hear what I have to tell. It all started subtly. That night, the field was as usual, quiet, with the sound of crickets in the background and the soft breeze swaying the trees. I was heading to the barn, one of those old ones, when I heard a sound that shattered the stillness of the night. A cry, a human cry. It was faint, but unmistakable. My first thought was that an animal might be hurt, but soon it became clear it was something much worse. With a flashlight in hand, I lit my way to the barn, trying not to think about the dread that was starting to grow inside me. And then I saw him. A boy, small, frail, wearing torn, dirty clothes, huddled in a corner like he was hiding from something. He looked terrified, his eyes wide and glassy. He didn't look lost, but like he was running away. From what, I didn't know. He stayed silent as I asked him questions, each one falling into the void, like he couldn't or didn't want to respond. I decided to take him back to the house. As we walked, I felt a strange sense that something or someone was watching us. When we got there, he settled on the couch, still without saying a word. The tension in the air was palpable, and the more I tried to relax, the more something inside me screamed that something was wrong. Even without speaking, the boy seemed to give off an oppressive presence. Later, I took him to the guest room, but even after he lay down, the uneasiness didn't leave me. The silence in the house, which used to be comforting, now felt suffocating. I tossed and turned in bed countless times, until I decided to check on him once more. When I entered the room, a chill ran down my spine. The boy was gone, the bed was empty, and the window was slightly open, swaying gently with the cool night breeze. I rushed outside, my heart racing, calling the boy's name, but the only response I got was the echo of my own voice. I searched the surroundings, with no luck. Then, I heard the cry again, coming from the barn. My blood ran cold. When I entered the barn, there he was, in the same position as before, like nothing had happened. In the nights that followed, the cycle repeated. The boy would disappear from the room, and every time I went looking for him, there he was, back in the barn, no matter what I did. It was like he was trapped in some kind of time loop, reappearing in the same place, at the same time, like he was condemned to relive that moment over and over. I knew this wasn't normal, that something was seriously wrong, but at the same time I found myself unable to stop it. After weeks of unexplained appearances, I knew I had to do something different. Until then, every night was the same. The boy would show up in the barn, I'd take him to the room, and he'd disappear without a trace, only to reappear in the same spot the next night. But something inside me said, I couldn't keep living like this, trapped in this cycle of fear and uncertainty. I had to do something to break the pattern. That last night, when I heard the cry from the barn again, I made a decision. Instead of just taking him back to the house, I would follow him, let him show me what he wanted, without interfering. Maybe this time, he was trying to lead me somewhere, tell me something I couldn't see. When I walked into the barn, there he was, in the same position as always, huddled in the corner. But this time, instead of asking questions or trying to calm him, I stood still for a few moments, just watching. My breathing was heavy, the silence thick. His face was as pale as it had been the first nights, his glassy eyes locked on mine. Then I crouched down, slowly moving closer, and reached out my hand. I pointed to the door, signaling for him to guide me wherever he needed. He hesitated, but his eyes, always filled with fear, seemed more determined that night. Without saying a word, the boy got up and started walking out of the barn. He led me to an old, forgotten well, hidden among the trees, covered in weeds and stones. We crossed the field in silence, leading me down a path I rarely took, to a part of the farm I barely remembered existed. With each step we took, the air seemed to grow heavier, and a strange cold began to settle around us. The well was there, untouched for years, a piece of the farm that had been lost in time. The boy stopped at the edge of the well, and for a moment, he turned to face me. Our eyes met, and in that moment, I knew he wanted me to see this. Maybe he wanted me to know something that was buried there, something that had trapped him in that place. But before I could ask or make a move, he began to fade, like he was disintegrating into the air, being carried away by the wind. Nothing was left but the silence and the feeling that something terrible was hidden in that well. The cycle was over. From that moment on, the crying stopped, and the boy never appeared again. The farm returned to its usual quiet, but the weight I felt didn't go away. Even with everything going back to normal, something lingered. The feeling that the boy was still there, watching, waiting for something. Sometimes at night I could sense his presence, lurking from the depths of that forgotten well. I didn't dare go near it, nor call anyone to investigate. The idea of discovering something terrible, maybe what really happened to the boy, or perhaps to someone he loved, was more terrifying than living with the constant sense that he was still around. I'd rather live with the mystery, with the doubt, and with the quiet fear. Because sometimes, digging up the past can unearth horrors we aren't ready to face. And I didn't want to find out what was hidden in that darkness. If I had investigated that well that night, maybe I would have found more than I could ever bear. But days later, still consumed by doubt and a curiosity that gnawed at me from the inside, I went back to the well with a rope, a flashlight, and a shovel. The weeds seemed even thicker, as if nature itself was trying to hide that place from the world. When I reached the edge and looked down, I felt that same strange chill from the night the boy disappeared. But this time I was determined. I climbed down. The well was deeper than I had imagined. The stones were slick with moss, and the air reeked of wet earth. Something rotten, buried long ago. When my feet finally hit the bottom, I realized this wasn't just a well. It was an entrance. A narrow side opening, dug into the earth, led to a dark, tight tunnel. I crawled through, guided only by the beam of my flashlight and the gut feeling that the truth was waiting for me at the end. And I found it. Bodies, small ones, children, piled together, deformed by time, half consumed by the dirt. And among them, clothes I recognized. An old handkerchief with my great-grandmother's name embroidered on it. A toy that once belonged to my grandfather. It was as if this had been happening for generations. As if every so often, someone in my family had been involved in something unthinkable. A pact, a sacrifice, or a curse that kept the farm at peace at the cost of innocence and blood. At the far end of the tunnel, I saw a symbol carved into stone. Strange, pulsing, almost alive. And then a voice. Not loud, not clear, but inside my head, a promise of silence in exchange for my life, or to carry on the cycle. In that moment, I understood. The boy didn't just want to show me. He wanted to free me, or damn me. So I ran, climbed out terrified, filthy, shaking. Since then, the well has been sealed shut, but at night, I still hear crying. Not his, others. And now I know, what had been watching me wasn't the boy, it was what had him trapped. And maybe one day, it will come for me too.